Hello everybody, welcome to the OC show. My name is Tim and today we're live for the episode 16 and we're gonna have some cool guests today, but before that let's have a quick look at today's summary. So today we're gonna talk about OC-Esports competitions, so very briefly, telling you a little updates, what's going on, etc, etc. We'll have also a little chat about a new benchmark that is coming to HDI, something based on video encoding. So here one of our guests, Toolius, is gonna have some very good insights on that because he's actually working in this industry. We'll talk about Intel IDF and see what Intel actually launched that is worth of interest for us overclockers during the show. And of course after that, because Toolius is here for the first time, we'll be talking about overclocking in India. So that is going to be something I think that should interest quite a few people. So today on the show we have, first of all, Neo next to me. Hi Neo, how's it going?
It's alright, and how are you guys?
Very, very good. So you're the owner and editor-in-chief of The Overclocker?
Yes, I am.
Which is the world most, I think, famous overclocking magazine.
It's the only one.
It's the only one. So
by virtue of being the only one, the most famous one.
Anyway, so the last issue actually came out just last week.
Yeah, it was last week. Issue number 35.
Yeah.
Right. The Skylake coverage. And what else did we cover there?
Yeah, what else? There's an interview with Sophos, which is actually on the chat.
Yeah, an interview with Sophos.
So Sophos, in-house overclocker at Gigabyte.
Yes.
So some very interesting interview.
Yeah, and yeah.
There's a coverage of the MSI OC Academy event.
Yes, that happened in
UK.
In the UK. Right,
and
that was pretty cool.
And what are some reviews as well?
Yeah, not too many reviews.
Not too many reviews.
Just one motherboard and one.
Which one?
One motherboard. The Rampage 5 Extreme.
Okay.
Rampage 5 Extreme and 980 Ti, and that was it for reviews. The rest was just overclocking related editorial.
Okay, so if you guys want to check that out, go to theoverclocker.com. Everything is there. It's usually the first link on the page.
Yeah,
so that's about it. Second guest on the show, which is actually a guest we already had last time, Ciro from Italy, from Rehwolution.it, right? Let me not make any mistake here.
Yeah, you say that right this time. Hi guys. Thanks for having me on the show again.
So you're the owner and also editor-in-chief of that publication, right?
Yes, I'm like a factotum actually. I do everything. I even mop the floor. So,
alright, so he's the man for what comes to hardware reviews in Italy. So if you guys want to check out his website, everything is mostly in Italian, but Google Translate is here to help you out, so that should be no problem. And now a new guest on the show, Toolius from India. So Toolius is ranked top 60 in the world and is also #1 overclocker in his country and one of the very few extreme overclockers in India. So welcome, Toolius. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on today, guys. It's a total pleasure to be on again.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to have you on board. So today we're gonna talk about a few topics, and before we actually go to the really important things of the matter, let's have a quick look actually at the OC competitions that happened during the previous months. Well, actually, the previous 2 weeks. So starting off right now, quickly having a look at the Rookie Rumble. So that's the league for the new guys, the newbies. And this one actually finished during the weekend, and you can see Diana OC from Romania actually took the lead. I checked that one on Friday, and Zikin from France was actually in the lead. So I'm thinking over the weekend someone just pulled out some really good scores, because you can see he has 50 points in every stage, which means he's actually having the best scores in every stage.
Every stage, yeah.
So sandbagging is sandbagging is something very true also in the Rookie Rumble, and yeah, I guess for some guys you're learning it maybe the hard way, but it is also very nice to have seen some scores before. It's not cool if everyone keeps their scores until the end. Other competition, AMD number 18. I'm not sure there's actually 14 overclockers. That's pretty good for an AMD Rookie Rumble.
Definitely.
Probably it's due to the summer. People have nothing else to bench, or it's maybe related to the fact that it's the Team Cup and people are pulling out their old AMD chips, and since some of them are maybe rookie, just passing them through the thing. Here, Newell from France is first, and followed by another French guy, and then an Indonesian. I guess those two French guys are from Team Cocotland, if I'm not mistaking. So a very active team, very active forum as well. So if you're French and you have any questions about that, check out coquetland.fr in the forums. Over the competition, the Novice Nimble number 4. So this one is still going for another 26 days. This is a team-based competition for novices, so people that have less than actually, let me not make any mistake, less than a year at HWBot, so more than 3 months, less than a year. Point here is to join the team. I was mentioning Coquetland, while Coquetland is actually the most active team, but we are gladly seeing new teams showing up here in the ranking. It seems hardware.info went quite down this time. It's not even in the top 10 anymore. But Tech Lab Terabytes, that's the team under the lead of Arbuas in Brazil. So very active team. A lot of rookies were in this team. And obviously the novices are using that experience. There's also a new team that shows up here, which is the Men in Black. And I think this team, I'm not too sure where it is from. It's the first time I see that team. Let's see if we can load HWBot. Yeah, it's from Hungary. Yeah. Captain is John I5. And I don't know really too much those guys in here. Seems like the team doesn't exist since very long though. Like a few days, like maybe a week or so. Yeah, 9 days. 9 days is the first submission to the team. So it's actually like a very new team. So watch out, because this team is already in the top 3 here.
There's even an Italian team in the Nimble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's an Italian team. Sorry about that. Yeah. Those guys were doing better actually last time. It seems they've a little bit lost their mojo, but they haven't submitted in most of the stages yet. So that might just be partly sandbagging or partly coming true, especially in the future. We'll see. Yeah, other competition,
more than novice. That's why they're not.
Okay.
I see. That's why.
Right. All right. Other competition. This one is a sponsored competition by Gigabyte. It's the last Z97 competition you will probably ever see from Gigabyte, because I guess after that the focus will be on the new boards. This one is the ambient part, so it's for people that are above 20 degrees Celsius. 37 overclockers participate in them, and it seems that the Indonesians from Jagat Review are just rampaging the whole competition. 2 guys, Arham and Colders, are right now in the top. Aerotrax is an overclocker we met for the first time at the ROG camp in Germany. That was in April, just after the World Tour in Europe, actually. It was his first time at that event under LN2. It seems he hasn't applied for points on his extreme results, so he's still gladly competing in that league. Very cool, very interesting ranking. We'll see if the Indonesian guys can maintain themselves at the top. Now on the extreme side, a little bit less overclockers. Of course, it's extreme overclocking, and this time we have actually a ranking full of familiar faces. If we look at it, Extreme Addict, Lucky Noob, Raf. Then we have Achilles. And we have an overclocker from India, which we publish. We are going to publish an interview actually very soon on HWBot, so you should follow this guy. This is actually a new rising star, I think, from the overclocking in India. So check out.
He's been very active in the past few months. I've actually been following him. And I'm actually trying to find out where and what forum he's on. I've been trying to find this person.
Well, maybe you will find out in the interview. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Other competition. This one also a sponsored one. MSI Godlike OC Tournament. So they had the 2D battle. This one ended on August 20th. And very popular competition, 95 overclockers. This is mainly due also to the fact that MSI, as for Asus did in the previous competitions, made it more open by not asking for a screenshot for the XTU submission. This makes the competition show up a lot more often in the submission after the submission page at HWBot. So more people actually get to know about the competition, even though they don't have the right screenshot. You accept the screenshot, you give just less points. You can see there's only 4 points maximum for it, or it must be actually 5 points. Someone must have 5 points here. So basically, more people get into it, they get interested, and eventually submit to the other stages, and then get into actual overclocking with the right screenshot and the right process. So here, Ivan Kupa from Indonesia is leading, and again, he is from Jagat Review, I guess, from the Jagat OC team. So those guys, they're everywhere.
Of course.
I tell you.
Yeah. On the extreme sides thing, again, like it's very similar to the Gigabyte competition, a little bit less participation here, and the round is also finished. Here we had Dr. Weiss from South Africa, which is an overclocker that is very much active around the MSI platforms. We saw in MOA, for example. We have Lucky Noob as well, also very famous for his performance at the MOA competitions. Now he's not competing anymore in the last generations. He's just coaching the guys. Actually, the guy he's coaching, B-Boy Jess, is 4th in that one. And Dan Cup, I guess, is 5th. That's probably explained by the fact he was on a vacation or something. Go ahead.
Why Dan Cup has 36 points? What, he got 0 points for each stage?
There's probably a calculation issue here, I suppose. Yeah, but the points here should be correct. It's probably that maybe some screenshots have been, some scores have been removed or updated. I'm not too sure. But those competitions ended on August 20, so you have to think that Christian A has to go now over the scores of the top 10 guys to make sure everything is valid. So as usual with every competition that just closed, this is for information purpose only. The announcement will be made when everything is confirmed. Another big competition of the summer is about Team Cup 2015, and this one is actually a very popular competition. I haven't checked actually how many teams are competing in the one. It's probably quite a few. Last time I checked, they were... Can't keep scrolling down, I guess. So, very popular competition. That's about it. 63 teams at the moment. This is pretty much the World Cup of overclocking teams, really, basically. That's where any team can show how strong they are. And actually, right now, USA-based teams are actually showing everyone that, hey, this is where there's the most, team efforts put into the competition. Classicsplatforms.com is in the top classics platform that is also actually very dedicated to the old school is best school competition series. So those guys, they're hardware collectors. They have a lot of hardware and they keep a lot of hardware. A lot of overclockers are used to buy hardware, resell it, to get money for the next season or the next platform. Well, those guys obviously keep the hardware and makes them perform really well in those competitions. Overclockers.com, yes, sorry. So this one also very active. We had the chance to meet some of their members during the World Tour in North America last year. Very cool guys, very active as well on their forums. Overclock.net, everyone knows who they are, also very active forum, and Team MLG, which is a team also to watch right now in Europe, because those guys are actually, they're actually very active as well. And Top Dog is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, having a look at the ranking, should still be in the top 3 worldwide season. Yeah, Top Dog is actually #1. So, yeah, very, very active team. So that's about it actually for the results and the scores of the current competitions. Do you guys have anything to say about competitions you're actually participating in at the moment, Toolius?
Well, I unfortunately haven't had time to participate in these competitions. For one, I actually don't have a gigabyte board at the moment for Z97 board. I don't have one with me. Yeah, but. Yeah, and it's just I've been following all of them because you never know what you're going to learn. Even the rookies, sometimes they come up with really crazy efficient scores, and you're like, what the hell did he find? And he's just like, huh. So
just a lot of volts, a lot of volts. Usually the newbies are like this. We saw them at the World Tour, and they don't care. 1.6 volts, whatever it takes.
But yeah, so I've been following pretty much everything, and especially the MSI Godlike tournament and the HWBot Team Cup, because the Team Cup, again, like you said, it's where the big guns fire. So that's always good, So yeah, I've been following all of them, but
right.
Just unfortunately I haven't had either the gear or the time to take part in any of them. Again, same with MSI.
Plus, if you're playing with multiple Xeons and stuff, I suppose there's not that many competition tailored for your hardware database. Actually, we should make a competition just for servers and just send an email to the guys at Google and Amazon and say, hey guys, we've made a competition for those that have more than 200 cores.
Yeah,
how would you validate that?
See.
No idea.
I know a couple of guys who will run that competition and win over.
Oh yeah, I can see Denzen just
the guys from Tricktown.
Yeah, I'm sure some guys will actually have the hardware to do it. Yeah, and you
Denzen, DJ. He works at Supermicro. I mean, he's got all the hardware in the world.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And you, Hades, are you active in some comps?
No, I'm not active in any comps yet. I will try to be active in the Team Cup as soon as possible. I'm full of work because of the Skylake launch. I'm like covered by members incoming and already here, so I'm just trying to give away the work, and then I will focus on the competition. I don't want to work on the competition while I'm working on the reviews, so I won't do anything good. I want to do at first something good, then I will put myself into overclocking till 5 a.m. and just bench everything out. Also, I'm trying to find some cheap supplier for LN2 because, as we spoke before, it's really expensive where I live. So I will try to find someone who will let me bench more than once a year. I want to bench at least once a week. So I want to do this big leap on the LN2 stable overclocking.
All right.
That's why. So
good luck with that.
So.
I guess you're not too active on the competition either.
No.
Just busy having a look and reviewing stuff, I suppose, lately.
Actually, my active competition days are long gone because wow, I mean, I was overclocking literally 10 years ago. Yeah. Right?
So now it's more your job, so it's not like you.
Yeah. So, but obviously for reviews, you always, what many people don't know, that we always test LN2 even
if it's a regular
even if it's a regular review, you still test LN2 because that's where the real meat is. I mean,
that's where you see what the board can
do.
Or how good the design is,
right?
How
good the design is.
Anyone can run a board at Italy.
I know, right? So you always go through that stuff, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. Just prepping for LN2 takes a lot of time. But overclocking is always addictive. If you start being concerned with the points and entering the competitions, then you'll just get dragged into that, and it will never end. You'll just be, I want to beat this guy.
This guy, he has 2 points more. Like, I'm not going to bed. No way.
I can beat him.
Yeah, the guy from Poland is called Extreme Actic. That's the reason why.
That's
the points are like
he's one of those guys all the way to the last minute.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, moving on to the next topic, because tonight we guarantee we will try to make it short. And now we are going to talk about a new benchmark that is coming to HWBot, which is actually a very interesting benchmark, the very first, I think, of this kind today, especially with that kind of integration and that kind of usage. So it's x265 benchmark. It's developed by a Czech overclocker from Czech Republic, and his name is Rehwolution, and he's from the website hardwaremuseum.cz, I guess. And so I have with us here today, we have the chance to have Toolius, who's working actually. Toolius, tell us what is your job, because how come it's actually perfect for this question.
Okay, well, basically, I build workstations for Bollywood. I mean, I've got my own company, it's called Comcraft, and I build these really high-end overclocked workstations for, again, audio, video, anything to do with special effects and things like this, color correction. So, yeah, this is basically just absolutely right down my alley. You know, this is stuff that I deal with on a daily basis. All my clients ask me for benchmarks regarding video and 4K and real time and how many FPS are we going to get on this system versus that? And so, yeah, but this benchmark is going to go a very long way in, you know, at least setting like a baseline that this is what this hardware can do, you know, and it'll deliver the results. And then speed, everything else is software dependent, algorithm dependent, the way that it's been implemented with that particular encoder, all of that stuff. But this benchmark will be a really, really helpful tool in setting a baseline. It's going to be excellent.
Cool. So what is x265? Because I personally hear always about H264, and well, that's maybe more Apple stuff because I'm on the Apple Mac most of the time. But x265, what is it?
Basically, x265 is it's basically now if you look at x265, it's the software or the GUI built on H265. H265 being the spec, and then you need to so you have like the spec that's been set up by I think it's ITU, International Telecommunications something,
some kind of standard or something, right?
Standard, yeah. So they came up with the standard. So basically you can have different ASICs, FPGAs, CPUs that can encode, you know, H264 or H265 compliant streams. Now, to encode them, you need software, which is x265. So the software, in essence, is x265, and the codec or the specification is h265.
Okay.
Yeah, so simply put, if you want to make a simple example, it's h265 is like the recipe for the cake, and x265 is the actual cake.
Oh. Wow, I didn't know that. So compared to, I guess H264 is a lower number. So what is the actual difference between both? Is it like one is better than the other, or is it just it's a new version of the thing?
No, there's been a huge change over H264 over H265 over H264. First of all, 264 can only do 4K. 265 is good for 8K. No problem. Another benefit of X265 or H265 is it can give the same quality for half the bandwidth. So for example, if H264 gives you a 300 MB file, you will get the same quality with H265 in 150 MB. So you need half the amount of data, keep the same quality.
Which I guess is useful if you had 8K or more, right?
Exactly. So it's by the international telecommunications guys, because they want to stream 8K and then bandwidth comes into the picture. So they've got to have a standard and a codec that's relatively light but still carries a lot of quality. And the good thing is X265, it'll handle 8-bit, 10-bit, 16-bit, which is even pro grade, 422. 444, which is really professional grade.
So that's the bit is the range of possible colors you can encode, right?
Correct. So it's good. It's good all the way for 16-bit, which is again better than X264 or H264.
So nowadays, most of the camcorders, DSLRs that do video, most of them they either use AVC HD or they use they either package it in .mov or .mpeg, which usually is H264 stream, right?
64.
So in the future, I guess if most of the cameras are going to go 6K, 5K, 8K, whatever, or 20K maybe, who knows? So they would have to use that format, right? So this is pretty much the future of every video we're going to see out there in the very close future, right?
It's true. In fact, already there are quite a few pro cameras that will let you output in X265, like the new ones, like the Sony F65, which is like this 4K, 5K camera. Again, Red has their new 6K, I think it's called the Dragon, that will let you do this as well. So the support's already coming, and the cameras are carrying their own little ASIC FPGA encoder chip on there, which will give you a compliant stream. It's not necessary that all of the output files are the same, but they're compliant to the X265 standard, or the H265 standard. So any software will play them back as long as they're compliant.
All right. So in terms of, for us actually, in terms of the performance, the challenge back in the days with H264 was the decoding first and the encoding second. Usually decoding was sorted pretty quickly, I think, when Sandy Bridge CPUs came out or something like that.
Yeah.
So they had instructions to decode it, right? And then encoding with QuickSync was made a lot easier, where actually Intel CPUs right now for encoding, if you want to compare it to a graphics card, you would compare it maybe to a 750, a Core i7 4770K with QuickSync is as fast to encode H264. Or even faster,
Actually faster.
So what is the challenge today with H265? Do you need a special instruction, or can you reuse what's already here?
You don't really need a special instruction, because the guidelines are already laid down in the spec. So the challenge here is, again, just having the grunt to encode X265, because the algorithm is twice as heavy. So you need even more CPU power to code and decode 8K or even X265. For example, if you've checked out YouTube and you've gone to one of the 8K videos on like even MacBook Retina, one of the new ones, they can't play back 8K videos.
Oh, it's like you're losing frames or stuff, right?
Precisely. They just don't have the grunt to do this right now. Desktops do. Desktops are just...
Yeah. I had a problem playing an 8K video for the CPU. I was bottlenecked by the connection, because there's not a really great connection here.
Yeah, you have to buffer quite a bit,
Yeah. But even on laptops. So the challenge with this is still the same. We just need faster and stronger CPUs. That's basically it. Now, when it comes down to video quality and encoding and decoding, the industry, at least the video industry here, there's basically two ways you judge how good your encoder or your decoder is. One is basically you do like this proper simulation, or you do like a proper mathematical analysis of your video and your gamma and your colors and what it's outputting. And then which isn't very famous, or which isn't very much which isn't liked very much. Let's just put it that way. What these guys go for is like a more subjective thing, where its beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because certain softwares like FFmpeg, certain guys will produce more grainy output, certain guys will produce a softer output, certain guys will round off the edges on sharper objects. So it's down to the feel that they want to impart to the video as well. And so it's right now the way it is. Different softwares have different output quality, and it's the same with QuickSync versus GPU versus just pure out CPU.
Even if it's the same codec, the output is actually different.
Actually, it's different. So yeah.
Even though most people, I guess, don't really notice it, but if you are high bit rates, you can see the difference, I suppose.
You can see the difference, especially for these guys when they're going to put it up on like your iMacs and stuff like that, where they're going to blow it up. Then it becomes very, very evident. You can clearly tell if there's any artifacts or if there's anything wrong.
Yeah, all right. So what is cool about this benchmark is also the fact that the dev guy worked very closely with HDRIbot to integrate it with the API. So basically following the example set by XTU at first and GPUPy after that, which GPUPy already pushes the envelope a lot further ahead. Like you can log into your HDRIbot account, but the application also takes the screenshot. Of course, it warns you to close every potential, offensive windows or whatever you would have open at the same time when you're benching, which you should not do anyway. And so, okay, it does the screenshot, and GPUPy sends it to HDRIbot with the data file. It's going to come soon with the CPU-Z integration. So it actually will pull all the information CPU-Z usually reads from your system into the data it sends to HDRIbot. So when you arrive at HDRIbot, everything is already pre-filled with the right component name. It even will pre-fill stuff that you usually don't do because you're just lazy to do it, right? Disks. Yeah, like the disk or the version of the whatever you have. And you can even go down to the revision of the BIOS and things like this, which is actually, in most cases, for extreme overclocking, very interesting, right? So this benchmark comes with the same kind of thing. And in the news that was made on HDRIbot, there was a kind of a little hint about a competition integration as well. So I poked a little bit Peter of Massman to know a bit more about that. And apparently what you can do through the HDRIbot API is also to read the competitions for which your benchmark is actually eligible. So basically what the overclockers could do is they log in, and the software can, when they click submit, can point to competitions you can submit your score straight to. So at the same time you're going to go to HDRIbot, it's right into the competition. So imagine you're actually benching last minute or something like this, and you need to go very, very quick. You need to submit your run or something. Well, there you go, it's like it's going to do the screenshot, it's going to be logged in, it's going to be to your account and to this competition, which is actually what the HDRIbot Prime for Android is already doing. When there's a competition active that you can submit, it has the little icon where you can pick the competition you want to put it into. So that's going to be pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I guess this is where the future of competitive OC is anyway. Like we saw it in the World Tour. We use XTU on PCs with all LAN connections. Of course, yes, the internet is the requirement, which I guess some guys will not like so much, but you can always do it by hand if you want to. And so in those competitions, we saw that the guys were able to actually go a lot quicker. You can make competitions where you only allow 30 minutes. You don't need judges running everywhere to collect scores on a piece of paper. I mean, like, we are in 2016, right? 15, so it's like, let's give up the paper and the pens, right? So based on these questions, I would say, Chiro, for you as an overclocker that competes in competition, what would be for you? What do you think about this whole benchmark, the simplification of the process?
Well, it's surely becoming more mainstream. I mean, rookies and novice and all the people that just start overclocking, not like us, that we have been doing that for years, like Neo for 10 years. They will get their life much easier to get into the proper overclocking, let's say, vision. Like they will get into the expert mode overclocking faster than we did. They won't take years. There will be more competition against each other. I think it's going to push things over the boundaries. It's going to make it easy for us because maybe we just get tired to open CPU Z, open GPU Z, open memory tab and everything, take the screenshot, submit that.
This is so 1990s.
Yeah, that's so 90s. I've been benching with GPU Pi the last days. I am a late bird. I mean, it's out since a couple of months or maybe even more. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's been out for I think 4 months, 4 or 5 months now, I think.
Yeah, and I just had a chance to try it like 2 or 3 days ago, and I was really surprised by the fact that you can submit and it's taking the screenshot by itself, it's uploading it with your account, it's doing all by itself. It's much easier. I did like 6 runs of GPU buying in less than 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, let's upload, yeah, overclock that, and then upload everything. I was really enjoyed by that, because it's not easier just for the noobs. Let's call them noobs, not in the offensive way, just in the way it means new boys doing that. It's easy for everyone. It's not just a way to simplify that like it's worse. It's simplifying that in the good manner.
It's more practical, right?
Yeah, exactly. And more accessible.
Yeah.
It saves time that can be used to send back more, like the guys are already doing. Jokes apart, it can save time. Like if you're not really stable with your overclock, you got this advantage. Then it won't crash because the software is doing everything on its own. So it's much faster, more stable. You can fine tune everything. Yeah. So it's contributing to push everything over the limit.
All right.
So that's really good. It's really cool.
Neo, you've been part of the past generation of active overclockers in competitions. When you see this, for you, what would be the next step, even beyond that? What else should be added to the software to make it more convenient or more practical?
For a lot of benchmarks, I don't think the issue was actually opening the CPUZ and so forth. It is tedious, and if you don't have CPUZ on that system, you need to download it in the right version, and there's a lot of nonsense that you have to go through. But for the most part, the difficult thing was, as Chiro said, getting it to not crash while you're trying to get the screenshot, because you got the screenshot and then system freeze or PSOD. So if there's less opportunity for that to happen, it just makes life a lot easier for people, right? And just it's being streamlined into your account and so forth. That is great. And going further from that, I don't know actually, because at this point you'd actually just want someone to actually do it for you, press the button for you. This doesn't get much easier than this.
Yeah,
right?
True. Yeah. It's
really
one click, like 2 clicks.
It's
Run and submit.
And if you want something that's visually appealing, because I know if you're watching Super Pi, it's not fun to watch. You're just watching iterations. Right?
Yeah. So at least that x265 has a little video.
Yeah, the 265 has a video, so there's something to watch. There's something for people to get excited about for live competitions and so forth. Because Super Pi live competition is not fun at all.
Especially if you were used to do 32M.
Yeah, 32M is just waiting and then not exacting around. Yeah. And what does that mean? So
or most people it's a little bit like Trackmania, where people this round is stopped. I just stop it. What? Yeah. But wait for not even a result for 2 or 3 hours.
Exactly. So
What were you about to say, Hades?
Oh my god, I forgot.
Alright, so I'm gonna take a question from the chat quickly. So there's a 0p71 mu5 who asked, so I guess it's pronounced Optimus. How about to redo competition points? There are rookies who regularly take part in them. Why not give them a bit more incentives on that? Well, actually, so now you have the esports points, which is the new version of the competition points if you want. And if you go actually to OC-Esports, you have the ranking menu at the top, and that's where those points go. So those are only points from your competitions. They count also in your HWBot ranking and your HWBot actually league points, but they only count there for the year that is going on. So the year from this point in time right now on. So if we are, for example, August 23rd, well, then it's to August 22nd at midnight last year. So all the competition during that time. So they basically follow you by 1 year back. This is designed so that guys that were super active in the past, well, they don't stick too long at the top either, because they're not doing anything for the last 5 years, you know. So this is how the things have been changed. So I'm not too sure if you were meaning something else by that. Yeah, I had one more question from the perspective of the industry, Toolius. A benchmark like this, so you were mentioning it, so you can use it as a reference for the guys you're working or building the workstations for. Right now, this benchmark is using 1080p, 4K. Would you probably look for something that is even higher bitrate, or that is even like an extreme mode of that benchmark, which would be 8K with, I don't know, 3 gigs per second file or something like this? Because right now, I think the file I gave, for example, the 4K freezing PC thing that is integrated in there, is like 20 or 24 megs a second. So it's already very encoded, down from the 600 megs a second I shot it. So
True.
Well, but the benchmark will be massive.
That I'm sure will be one of the side effects, unfortunately, because if you actually operate at 4K RAW, even that's 50 MB per frame. 24 frames a second is 1100 MB for a second. Yeah.
And if you make like some now shoot at 60 frames per second even. So
it's yeah. Oh my god. So yeah. No, this is the good thing about having a benchmark like this, and 4K for now is enough because the industry is just beginning to adopt 4K. 8K I know will happen in Japan and Taiwan far before it happens anywhere else in the world. Japan's already looking at 8K, but 4K is I think plenty, because what you're actually looking at is the capability for a system to handle 4K encode decode in real time. And if you can do that, then majority of the challenges, I think, from like at least a video effects or a video guy, they're happy.
So it's mainly from an editing point of view, right? It's not so much about the encoding of the final movie, for example, which you do on a cluster or something anyway. Like it doesn't need to be real time for that one. It can take a week. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. But at least when they're working on it and when they're previewing the subsystem, and the system should be fast enough to keep up with 4K and the demands, that puts on the whole system. Whether it be GPU accelerated decode, or it be, CPU based.
If you add in animations or transparent layers on top.
Or exactly. And then you've got the load on your I/O, which is your hard drives. They've got to be fast enough. Your disks have to be fast as well.
All right. Well, that's really cool. So it's going to be very interesting to follow that benchmark, I guess, in the few coming months. And the dev actually is very active. The benchmark was in alpha like a week and a half ago, and I checked this morning, and he actually made a comment on the news post, and it's now in beta out there. So I guess all those features, like the competition thing we talked about, it's going to be added very soon. GPU Pi will probably get the same treatment. So we're going to start to have a selection of benchmarks we can actually use in a live competitive environment where we want to go quick, right? So maybe we'll see very short time-based competition that I show you about very soon, where you can only submit during those 2 hours, and maybe why not? You could also link it to the internet time in the benchmark, so actually people cannot pre-run their runs, right? You can just wait at the start. Your system is ready, and you have to make a live submission. You cannot repost or send an old one; it would not work. So that would be actually also really cool stuff.
Also, another good thing about this is, the fact that it's going to submit your results in every single competition that your result can be submitted in, which is awesome because it happens so often that I've benched it, I've got a decent result, and then just because of maybe a background or something like that, I can't submit that result in another competition or stuff like that. And here it'll kind of get taken care of. I don't have to go back and bench the whole platform again.
Yeah, actually, that wallpaper thing, we're gonna see how that can be integrated in a way that it's maybe not automatically changed, but who knows?
But at least
checking you put the right one on.
Precisely. Even if that can be, then that pretty much one submission, 3-4 competitions. You don't have to go back and re-bench your system 3 or 4 times.
True.
It'll just get a lot more submissions.
All right, so let's move on to the next hot topic. And here we're going to talk about IDF 2015, the San Francisco version of IDF, because there's also one in China every year. So IDF this year was, of course, launch of Skylake in the 5th generation and all that. Intel had pretty much already announced everything at Gamescom. So from our point of view for new chips, there was actually not that much new stuff there. One of the main new things that was announced was, so you had this 3D crosspoint, which is kind of like a new solid state drive kind of thing. It's not really NAND, it's not RAM, it's much better than all this according to marketing slides from Intel. It's like, I think they say like 1,500 times better or something like this.
1,000 times.
1,000 times faster than NAND.
Yeah, so you guys watched the keynote, or you had a look at that?
Yeah.
What do you know about that 3D crosspoint phone?
Well, so it's Micron and Intel.
Okay. So they work together.
Yeah, they've been building that.
Yeah.
They actually have a fab where they've been working on this for several years now.
Okay, so it's something very complex.
Yeah, it's actually I want to say mass production, but they're actually producing the wafers with 3 XPoint memory. I don't even know what to call it, NAND or whatever it is, right? So it's 1,000 times more dense, 1,000 times faster than NAND, right? So obviously it will fill the gap between where you want faster than NAND memory, but obviously you don't want the cost implications of just going with DRAM.
Because right now, DRAM, if you would stack it up, I don't know.
It's really expensive.
Equivalent of SSD.
You just can't get it as dense. I mean, it's not feasible for you to have.
Plus, if the power goes off.
Yeah, so it's very volatile, whereas the 3 XPoint is non-volatile, or you can be used in that context. So it's interesting to see what drives will come from that in a more realistic manner, because to say 1,000 times anything doesn't really mean anything to anyone.
Because it's always theoretical, right? It's like USB speed. It's like you never get those 200 or 10 gigs a second. You never get it. You can get it, but not at launch.
Yeah, and you just don't. There's no interface that will give you 1,000 times what you're getting now on a disk. So even if you were getting a normal disk was 100 megs a second, 1,000 times that. There's no interface that will give you that kind of bandwidth, so you couldn't experience 1,000 times better.
Oh right, yeah. So this right now it's all SATA. It's all on PCI Express, right? There's no like from what they're showing.
Yeah,
right
it could be PCI Express. It could be any other interface that allows that kind of bandwidth to be used or utilized.
The new socket from the Intel PCI Express on the 750, right? The new SSDs.
So those new SSDs are not using that technology yet. They are just regular NAND, right?
And I think this is really clever Intel marketing, because when they're saying 1,000 times faster, I think they're talking access times, and that's it.
Oh, so not the actual read and write, right?
I think they're just talking access times, because I was when I was watching this, they say it's 1,000 times faster than NAND, and the only metric where I could possibly imagine it being 1,000 times faster would be access times, because even the 750, which they say is measured in microseconds, and this is measured in nanoseconds, so that is 1,000 times.
Oh,
faster.
okay, yes. So the unit of measurement changes, so of course.
So that's the only thing
pretty
where
impossible to get like half terabyte per second write or read.
That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. PC mark over 9,000, you know?
Yeah.
No, don't talk up, please. Don't pull out the PC mark.
Okay.
No.
I'm not
This benchmark is not relevant of anything. Who opens 20,000 browser windows at the same time? So this is one of the new things they were basically announcing there. They had this video I'm playing right now as we're talking about it, comparing, you know, before how cool or how much better it is, etc., etc. How NAND sucks pretty much, and all that kind of stuff. They haven't actually told any date of availability of that technology. Basically, they're showing off what they can do. And I think it's very similar to what Dave did, you know, with Thunderbolt back in the days. Like, I mean, like most PCs now still don't have Thunderbolt, and usually it's only machines for people that do, like, from the video industry, basically. Like, not many people actually adopted the technology. The drives are still very expensive. The cables, let's not even talk about it. It's ridiculous.
No.
So it's like okay, so we'll see this thing. We'll see when it comes. They say it's not going to be expensive. The arrow is pointing down. So for me, it's gonna be very interesting to see if actually, if it is actually cheaper than SSDs, you know, because this is going to be the main point. If you announce something, you say it's cheap, and in the end, it's more expensive than the current solution. Then it's not cheap.
I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle of DRAM and SSD, closer to the SSD, but definitely more expensive than SSDs. Even in their presentation, they were like, we expect to position it. I mean, they expect to position it cheap enough so that gamers can buy it. So that's a good sign. I mean, they clearly went down saying gamers. So
yeah, well, everything was gaming at that IDFs. You could connect everything to gaming. Oh yeah, I lost my keychains. Oh, gaming.
Let's not touch that button, please.
Okay, let's stay away from
together,
that one.
please.
Yes. So we're gonna see price here, see if it's interesting.
Yeah, hopefully they should be cheap, but then again.
Other point that was launched actually during that IDF that was actually discussed was they had Team Extreme Systems that was represented by, so you had Fugger, you had Loud Silence and Splave that were all there to do a showcase demonstration. They didn't show the screen. I don't know if it was projected inside the room.
Yeah, we couldn't see
anything, so I'm not even sure the system was really running, but for sure I think the score was done before they actually got on stage. So they announced that as a world record, which was a global first place, but that's all right. It's like just marketing going a bit over the top. So it was interesting because they wanted to have a small chat, you know, like showing the performance of their chip, and it's actually, I thought it was missing a little bit of something.
Content?
It was like they had those guys, they brought them all the way there to do the show, and then you're like, okay,
what am I looking at?
And then nothing happened. A little bit of smoke. They had a magic trick thing, and okay. So I think the best, if you guys haven't seen it, I prepared a small clip, so I'm gonna play it to you now, so you guys can actually see what happened there.
In servers, this is really what pushes the performance envelope, and we think about it in kind of three categories. One is the processor, the graphics subsystem, and then, as you heard this morning, memory. On the CPU side, at Computex, we announced 5th generation Intel Core processors with our new Intel Iris and Iris Pro graphics. Hey, Kurt. All right. Hey. Well, Charles, welcome back to IDF. Again, you've been here a few times. We are super excited about 6th generation Core and the K-SKU. Maybe tell us a little bit about Extreme Systems and what you got for us.
Okay, I'm Charles Worth. This is Alan. He goes by Splave, and also George. He goes by Loud Silence. We're professional overclockers from Extreme Systems, our overclocking team. Today we're running XTU. We're running about 5.8 gigahertz for the XTU world record for you.
Well, that's awesome. So while you're doing that, I just wanted to show a couple systems. Not only are we doing this with desktop, but we're going to do this in mobile as well. So part of our announcements around 6th generation Core is we're going to be bringing K-SKU overclocking to the notebook. So I wanted to show this EVGA system. This is a 4K displayed gaming machine which will be running the K-SKU 6th generation overclocking. You see some absolutely monster notebooks here. Usually I'm talking about thin and light. This is the MSI gaming system that's going to be coming out. So all of that great desktop overclocking is going to be coming to notebooks for the first time with 6th generation core. So let's take a quick look and see what these guys are off doing.
All right, so the current world record is around 1906. We hit 1910 live for you on stage. We're running about 130 below zero right now at 5.8 gigahertz. So we totally destroyed your previous Devil's Canyon world record by a huge factor.
Woo! Live on stage, that's awesome. So
thank you, George. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, so hey, you know, I'm a hardware guy. How do we celebrate a new world record when we're in the hardware business? Ready, guys? Little magic.
All right.
So Charles, just for everyone's benefit, try to simplify overclocking and talk about how does it fit within the ecosystem to deliver the ultimate gaming experience.
Well, we're kind of like the race car drivers for the manufacturers, and they want us to put the highest scores on the board. So when the gamers or when everybody goes look and see what, you know, what the best product for what they're going to do is, they look at the scoreboards and they see that Intel is at the top, and that influences their buying decisions.
So what advice do you have for kind of hardware developers in the room that are trying to seize the gaming opportunity in the PC space?
We have a lot of support from the manufacturers now. It's been great, but there could be more support for the overclockers, because what we do, they take and they put into the products that you see today. So even though you really don't know that the overclockers are quite instrumental in this whole entire scheme of things, we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. Computing and servers, this is really what pushes the performance.
All right, so that was it. So you guys, I had to change the sound, so that's why I cut for Oscar at the end. But I think everyone on the stream could hear it, so that should be fine. Make me a sign if you haven't heard anything on the stream. So guys, as you can see, everything was very short, actually, very brief.
Yeah.
Yeah, Toolius, if you would describe what happened overclocking was at IDF, how would you describe it?
Honestly, free way to get more performance. That's the basic concept of overclock. It was for like that. Free performance upgrade. Yeah. Like with pencil tracking on the circuit, with the XP 2500 plus the BART CPUs from AMD, straight to like soldering the pins on the as well CPUs in order to avoid the OC socket stuff. Yeah. Or stuff like that, like more advanced stuff, but it was just like free performance on really expensive systems back in time. Yeah. Like there was a huge gap between mid-range and high-end stuff when there was like Pentium 2 and Pentium 3, and it was just a matter of minutes to get free performance and saving up to $300-400 when you were just building your system. Now it changed a little bit. It's not the same. You got huge performance from your CPU just out of the box. I think that's unnecessary, actually, if you don't manage to run benchmarks or even gaming. I have to be honest. In gaming, overclock at least on CPU side is mostly useless. If you're on the graphics card, then it's different, because you can get 144 Hz on your gaming monitor, you know, gaming stuff everywhere. And I hate that gaming stuff everywhere, because it's just a clickbait. Yeah. It's just like, oh, there's a gaming on that board, I'm gonna buy that because it's for gaming. So I've been reading.
Yeah, so what you mean is that overclocking, if it's presented like this live in a conference, the hosts should make sure people understand that the whole point of overclocking is to increase the performance for a certain application, and not just okay, we got this code and hey, put in gaming to it, and that's the ultimate gaming experience. You have to really know what you're doing or where you're going with it. Toolius, for this presentation, what would you have liked to see, for instance, more like?
Well, at least a proper in-depth demo of what it takes to overclock. You know, if you're going to show off an overclock, then at least show it off properly with a proper demo in the sense.
So the XTU window, a few sliders explaining what it does or something like that.
What it does, yeah, and like how does temperature affect,
Sorry,
these CPUs.
I just disconnected.
Yeah, it's all right. Keep going, Toolius.
Yeah, and like how does cold affect these CPUs? And they should have demonstrated that they probably don't have a cold bug, or they should have showed it off on liquid helium running minus 250 degrees centigrade. Just something to like prove a point instead of just a minute and a half or 2 minutes of we did this and that's it. That's all we're gonna show for all the claims that they make about overclocking. It got 2 minutes, which was kind of sad actually.
That was actually a very poor presentation, because if I didn't know what overclocking was, I wouldn't know what I just saw. So
exactly.
If there's three guys, they're saying something about there's cooling, and
the score increased from 4 points from what he says.
And what score? What are we doing? Like, and Alan is a big guy, so to have him is all 6'4" of him hiding under a table as part of the presentation is just
that was a little bit weird. Yeah,
that was so sad.
Why are we doing this? Like, this is really it's just unnecessary. And Intel puts a lot of money into the CPUs, right? For so-called overclocking. But if you're gonna make that financial commitment,
I disagree on that.
Make one at least that's longer than 2 minutes, and you've all been saying, explain what it is that you are looking at. I know overclocking, and I don't know what that was, right?
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that day?
True. So they at IDF they also had that. We saw some picture with the CEO. So they had another benching booth. I think probably somewhere on the show, where like the press could swing by, I guess, and chat with the guys. So the guys were benching there. We saw some pictures of the CEO of Intel passing by and checking it out. I haven't seen actually video footage of this, so I don't know what exactly was talked about during this exchange. It would be very interesting to actually see how the CEO interacted with the guys from Extreme Systems there. What did he told them? Did he told them something very interesting, or did they have actually a discussion that is a bit constructive? Because like we said, like we are like Fogger says, we are the race drivers from PCs, and it's true that if you have the race driver and you have the main engineer or the main rep of the engineers, the discussion would probably be more than just marketing, and it would be something about the product, about how it works, about about different things that we like or that we would like to improve and things like this. I wanted to ask you, as a media, when you looked, so they had a very brief Q&A session after that, which was not really a Q&A. There was one question and one answer, pretty much. And then after, it's like there was a blank. What would you have expected here, the Intel guy asking Fogger, that was there to represent the overclocker community, to actually, uplift a little bit more the image of overclock?
But it goes, unfortunately, we don't have the time to go into the details of this conversation, but it illustrates the disparity that we have between what vendors understand overclocking to be, all right, and what we know overclocking to be. There's, or at least a chasm between our understanding and our interaction with this pastime. Because, Fogger, yes, Extreme Systems, but that was a decade ago. How many people are still actively overclocking on Extreme Systems and look at that as the #1 place to be for overclocking? It just doesn't happen like that anymore, right? So that their go-to person is still Fogger, even after all these years. That shows that they're really not in touch with what's actually happening, right? And if you want to popularize something, then you need to know about it and put money and effort and resources into it, which is not what happened here. Here it was like, there's something called overclocking, and I guarantee you, most people came out of there not knowing any more about overclocking than they did before.
So this presentation are very similar to what we could have seen on LAN parties 10 years ago already. I remember, we and friends, we did some stage presentation, breaking records on the stage. Exactly the same thing, 15 years ago.
Exactly, and you've explained nothing. You've said nothing. And also, overclocking can't appeal to everyone and anyone.
Sure, it's application specific.
Exactly.
Right?
If there's something that claims to be for everyone and everyone, that thing is for nobody. You can't have it both ways, right? So to try and say, the gaming and the no, just say and address the people that it's for, and then do a proper job at that, right? Even 10 minutes or even 5 minutes of an actual explanation. So this is the current record. It was done with a Haswell CPU or whatever. this is what we can do at a lower frequency. Right?
Say on that new chip.
On the new chip, so you can see efficiency is better. It's a very simple thing. Yeah. Not what they did there.
It was the simplest thing ever, and they did it.
Well, especially overclocking, the point is not always to just attack the top scores, right? Very few people actually do that.
It's not like everybody watching the IDF will go LN2 calling the day after.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's true, something on air would be probably more appealing to the gaming crowd they're trying to appeal to also, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that was just, please let me say it, marketing bullshit. Because as I said before the show started, when the Cloud9 guy get up on the stage...
Oh, at Gamescom, you mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was Gamescom, but it was Intel. It was Intel.
It was Intel as well, yeah.
Yeah. They were like, hey, what's your CPU in your system? And the guy said, a Sandy Bridge. So then there was no Ivy Bridge, there was no Aswell, there was no...
there's no Skylake mobile yet, so first of all, don't take someone that uses a laptop, because there's no laptop with Skylake mobile at the moment. So
yeah,
besides the one they showed on stage, that EVGA one that will... but that's it, yeah. Well, anyway, so that's about it for IDF. I think we should move on to our next topic, because you wanted to go not too late. It's all right. So next topic, we're actually going to talk more about Toolius and overclocking in India. So I think you've pretty much introduced yourself already enough, so we don't need to go through that. But could you tell to the guys that are watching, how did you got into overclocking in your country? What did you aspire to? And yeah, how did you get to the #1 spot, pretty much?
Well, I into overclocking about I'd say about 2007, 2006, 2007. One of my other hobbies and one of my other big passions is making music. And back then, you know, the systems just didn't have enough horsepower. You know, you couldn't load 20 plugins, 30 plugins and go. You just couldn't do it. So yeah, so anything to let me make my music, I'd try. And well, so that's what got me overclocking. That, and of course gaming for sure, but the main reason was I just wanted more CPU grunt for making music. So that actually got me big time into overclocking. And also the fact that, you know, I mean, I was a kid, you can't afford the latest and the greatest at that point of time, so you just take what you have and make it go as far as, you know, you can. So yeah, overclocking is big. I mean, that actually even your Q6600 and things like this, I mean, just the fact that you could buy a $300, $200 processor and, you know, overclock it to where the $1,000 processor would do, it just saved me money. It's, you know, it could, yeah. So that's pretty much why I started overclocking. And then then it just I got into forums because, you know, I wanted some help and I wanted advice and things like this. So then I got introduced to people doing extreme overclocking on the forums here. There were a bunch of guys before I came around. There was this guy called Amay. There was this guy called Aditya, Harshal. I don't know if you know them, but
yeah, of course.
So there were
for sure. Very famous name in that area of the world.
And so there was and then Tabanik, who was actually India's #1 for like the longest time. He's from Delhi though. I haven't met him yet, but so there were these 3-4 guys, and that's basically how I got started. I was like, if they can do this, so can I. You know, I'm going to give this a shot. Why not? And that's what kind of led me into overclocking with water and extreme and stuff like that. And it's just been a journey ever since. You know, so luckily for me,
how many years is that now?
That's in 9 years, easy, maybe even 10. Yeah.
So it took you 8 years to really pretty much go all the way to the top, learn everything, and
yeah, I mean, I signed up with the HWBot in I think 2009, if I'm not mistaken. That was when I signed up, because around I'm pretty sure that's when I signed up. That was when I kind of got involved with the forums and met all these guys, and, you know, started getting into extreme overclocks and things like this. So one thing just led to another, and there's this Indian forum called Tech Enclave, which actually had in the overclocking section, they had like these competitions which they run with, where you'd come and post your WPAM or you'd come and post your SuperPi and things like this, and it was tied up with the HWBot API, so you could view results by country and things like this. Yeah, so that was actually pretty awesome. So we'd keep submitting there, and the platform was cheap, so there was actually a lot of activity in India back then.
Back then we could overclock everything, right?
Everything, exactly. So everybody was kind of overclocking, and this is India. We love a cheap deal. Anything that gets us performance for free, we're on it. We're on it quick.
I like that.
Right now, that's actually sad because, again, we were having this conversation even in Taiwan. It's today overclocking is the realm of the elite, at least in India, because the minimum you need to spend is like $800, $700-800 before you can even overclock something like a 6600K. A decent motherboard, the processor and RAM is going to set you back $800-900 easy. And for the people, or for the students, and for the young people here, that's
not really an option. Yeah,
it's a lot of money, and the guys in college, they have the time. It's just that they don't have the money to buy the hardware. They have the time to overclock, and they're totally enthusiastic, but they just don't have the gear.
Yeah, so AMD would be their choice then, or G3258 or something like that.
Precisely. And well, unfortunately, they don't go into just buying gear for overclocking. They'll kind of look at dual-purpose gear. So they'll end up investing in something like an i5 4400, which is good enough for gaming, good enough for just about everything that they want to do. But unfortunately, they can't overclock it. And yeah, that's basically it. Unfortunately.
So India is a country of 1.2 billion people, right?
Now 1.4.
1.4, wow. So there's 9 extreme overclockers, and I'm not too sure about the amount of actual overclockers in total. It's probably around... Really? It's very few compared to the ratio of the population.
there's 20 maybe who are active.
Yeah.
Which is really, really sad. And we've been trying our hardest to get people more into this. Like for the last 3 or 4 years, every year Asus here does this enthusiast meet or power user gathering or whatever they want to call it. And I do the demos on Extreme Overclock, and we set up like these overclocking stations, and we'll do like a seminar on how to do it. So we've been trying, but it's time to take this up, a whole level. So right now, this year, we're Asus setting up a lab in Bombay, which is free for everybody to come. Anybody who's in Bombay, come. There's liquid nitrogen, there's gear, there's motherboards, there's ports. Everything is there.
That's really cool. So it's like a local computer club kind of thing, or like an overclocking club.
Yeah, exactly. And like all you have to do is get in touch with any of the guys at Asus, even Abhishek, who was there with me at the HWBot thing in Taiwan. So we're trying, and we're starting up with a whole bunch of competitions, which is something that we will be talking to you guys and HWBot very, very shortly once we have our things settled here. Is we want to have a whole bunch of competitions before the Enthusiast Meet comes up in conjunction with HWBot, because we want to get a whole lot of guys signed up and competing on a more regular basis. So one thing that definitely helps here is have good prizes. So that's the funding angle, and that's the finance angle and everything, which is being worked out as well. So we want to have good prizes so that people get really enthusiastic about it. There's fierce competition. There's a lot of people signing up, and it's one of the ways where you can get people up and running. So that, and combined with just having an open lab and liquid nitrogen for free. Come have some fun.
Talking about liquid nitrogen, right? That's the main component of extreme overclocking. If you don't have any, it's already a little bit less extreme, right? How hard is it to get LN2 in India? How much does it cost? Is there some regulations? Is there some hassle to get it?
Luckily, there's not many regulations or any hassles as such, and it's pretty cheap. If you actually have your own DVAR, then it's not very expensive, about 50-55 cents US, about 35 Indian rupees local for about a liter. So it's not too expensive. The rent on the DVARs, if you don't know the supplier or if you haven't bought from him, then the rent can get pretty expensive because they'll want like a big secure deposit for the DWAPs. They're not going to give them to you.
And you disappear.
yeah. So that. But if you buy on a regular basis, or if you bought with them, twice or thrice, then they're more than happy to just leave the DWAP at your house for a day or two, no problem. They'll charge you a little bit. They'll charge you maybe $50 a day as rent for the DWAP, and that's it. So not too many regulations. There is no health and safety. Luckily, that gets in our cases. So.
Okay.
It's really cool actually, because here in Italy the situation is really messed up. We are such a smaller population, and we got more active overclockers, but there's not the kind of, let's say, friendship among overclockers. They're all about me. They're all. I think I am selfish too, because I'm entitling myself to speak about Italian people when I'm not really the best overclocker in Italy, while you are the best overclocker in India. So you're maybe entitled to do that, just because you got a lot of experience. I'm really, let's say, noob in the offensive way, like we say.
And I mean, I just like to put it like I got lucky. That's it. That's it.
That's a nice thing. You need luck in everything you do, and that's the demonstration of that. But how do you think it's going to influence the fact that you're working so hard on making overclock more mainstream? Let's say that. Do you think it's going to explode, or is going to be a slow growth, or anything in the middle? What do you think about it?
I'd say to start off with, it will be slow. But the good thing is that if you look at system sales in India, there's a lot of high-end buyers. There's a lot of people here buying 4790Ks and stuff like that with, your Neptunes or the H100s and stuff like this. But they'll run them at stock, just because they don't have the knowledge and they're scared. That combined with how expensive the gear is, so they don't want to risk it. So if
I know that.
Yes.
I know that. But I'm dumb and I risk my hardware, but not everyone is dumb as me, so I understand that.
No, it's basically that, because the fear comes out of non-availability. If you kill something, then there's a chance that you'll have to wait 2 weeks before that part comes in stock again, like with high-end gear here. So that's another problem. But it's just, I guess, initially back in the Core 2 Duo days when CPUs were cheap and people didn't mind even if something went wrong, overclocking was actually big. Once stuff got really expensive, the interest kind of died out. People, just and again, like,
well, the price went up and the CPUs got locked, so it's not like you had an option to try to do another kind of overclocking, right?
Precisely, and also, like you said, the performance today of the CPUs is already so good that for most people they don't need.
They're not looking for it. Yes,
they're not. They're not. It does kind of do whatever they want, but the high-end guys and the guys who are into content creation, audio, video, those guys are seriously looking at they want more, and they're seriously looking at overclock. So the guys who are buying the high-end systems and the ROG systems here, they definitely will overclock because they've got the cooling, they've got the hardware, they just don't have the knowledge. So that is a hurdle that we definitely want to get out of the way really quickly, so that you get many more people doing this. And again, what will get people in, we Indians, we love a good price.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
I've seen so many competitions here where like the first prize is like a $60 headphone, and nobody takes part in that. They're not going to bother.
Yeah, if you make a parallel, for example, to the gaming universe, it's like, well, competitions for gaming is pretty much all either free to participate. The only cost is the game and your PC to compete. But usually the PC, you already have it and you can use it for a lot of different things. And you probably don't need a very high-end PC to qualify to begin with. And some comps, they actually have local qualifiers, so you go there and the system is actually provided. So you don't really have to, you just have to train at home on your crappy machine if you want to, and then you just qualify there, And that's the thing with overclocking. Right now, all the competitions, like, it's limited to specific boards, limited to specific hardware. Like you said, it's expensive stuff because all the unlocked goodness is actually expensive. And that's the big issue right now. Neo, in your country, there's not that many extreme overclockers as well.
Anymore.
Not anymore. What is this? There's you. There's Vivi. There's
don't
Dr.
even
Weiss.
count me. I think it's probably 3.
Yeah, because you don't live you don't live there anymore.
It's probably 3. I've seen them come and go, and it's by generation. It's 2004, 2005.
Yeah,
there were quite a few guys. I mean, just some of them on extreme systems as well. I can count maybe even 10. Okay. Right, that was 2004, 2005, and then as the years went on, all fell away, and now you literally have 3 at the most who are active. So it's Andrew, Vivi, and pretty much that's it. So it's 2 or 3, right? Yeah. So those are the active guys. But
okay. So very hard as well.
Yeah, it's very hard to keep people going, and like you said, price is such a huge thing, right? I mean, if you have to spend so much money to getting into overclocking, I don't think any of us would have gotten into overclocking if it was that expensive when we started.
I got into there with the Pentium I had, which was not that expensive.
So
hey, it was 33 megahertz. You could run 166. You know, it's like, wow, this is amazing.
So it's just one of those things. Like price makes a big difference, and it's one of the things that I was thinking that Intel could have CPUs that are not separated by being unlocked or locked, but separate them by cache and that kind of thing, performance. So
people would still choose between
can still choose between can still choose between the K SKU high end or a lower SKU that is lower performance. So it only has 3 megs of cache or maybe 2 megs of cache, but it's still unlocked, right? So you can still get the people who buy the high end gear and the people who buy the low end gear, but just locking it completely, no base clock, no memory clock, no CPU multiplier. There's nothing for you. How do you think?
They actually did it, but on the expensive platform.
Yeah, only the expensive.
X99.
So actually, the fact that you don't sell cheap CPUs that are unlocked, and you say you want people to be enthusiastic, they're not going to be because they're using your stuff like consumer would use a smartphone. You know what? If it's too slow, I just upgrade. You know, that's it. But they're not going to be enthusiastic about what they're buying. So it means if your competition does something more, better, cheaper, they will go there because they don't care.
Yeah. It is unfortunate though that AMD is not worthwhile right now.
Not at the moment.
To overclock.
True.
But if they were,
they would have a good argument.
Yeah, but if they were, definitely AMD would be the way to go because almost all the CPUs are overclockable, right?
So that's why Zen is a good platform. I'm waiting so much for Zen. Because if it's just as fast as an i5, I don't want him to be fast as an i7 on X99. If it is just as fast as an i5, the table will be turned. Everything will turn up. Everything will there will be a price war. There will be all the targets
CPUs,
will be
cheap
lower.
CPUs, it'll all come back.
Yeah. Also, there's more people that have those cheaper CPUs anyway, right? Like if you look at the installed base,
AMD,
like I think there's
AMD
not that.
Got the entire line down unlocked from the 8
even the APUs,
4 cores to the APUs to the bulldozer. That's crappy CPUs, but let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about this side.
Let's not talk about that.
All right. So, do you guys have any more questions for Toolius? I guess I'm done with all the questions I have.
No, not really. It was fascinating to hear about overclocking in India. Like the last overclock I used to speak to from India was Harshal, actually.
Yeah.
Right, and that was
3 years ago, right?
And his cousin Ankit, who also used to overclock. Okay. I think,
they're both really good friends of mine. I mean, I started overclocking with Harshal. My first L2 sessions were with him at his house. So he's married. I don't know.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. And it's the same. I guess all of us get busy. And this is just a quick point I want to make. If Intel wants to get people, and if Intel wants to get guys overclocking, you need to get them early. You need to get kids in college. You need to get kids at the age of 16, 18, 20.
Yeah, when we were enthusiastic too, right? At the same age. That's when we got hooked. Not at 20 or 30 or the 40 years old guys that buy Core 7 because they can afford it.
Exactly. So it's like the guys who have the money and the guys who have the time and the enthusiasm, they don't have the money. At 20, you can't afford a kid to throw out $1,500 and buy like a Titan X in India and put
it on the LN2 and mod it.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a huge sacrifice for me to buy the 5960X.
Same.
Because it's like 1,000 euros. Here it's a wage for 1 month. It's
Precisely.
like I waste tons of money into just one CPU.
Precisely.
That it's also a bad clocker. It's just bad. So I got so fucked up. So that's that's part of the Silicon lottery. People like get it for free from Intel, and they go like, War Dragons all over the place.
Yeah, but those are ESs usually.
And buy,
Well,
more lucky than the others.
Anyways,
I just have one question for Toolius. The last question.
Yeah.
Do you plan on getting on the first place global?
Oh no. No. That's practically impossible from where I am sitting. It's just not going to happen for me. I mean, I'd love it. I mean, it's definitely a dream, but the reality is, it's just, not happening.
I'm gonna bet on you. At most 2 years, and you'll be in the top 10.
Well,
at most. I mean, I'm just being really low.
There's like a saying in India when somebody gives a compliment like that, and it's like "Aapke muh mein ghee shakar," and that means like I thank you for saying something so sweet, and like I hope there's something sweet in your mouth in return. Something sweet like
the good karma.
Yeah, like the good karma, or just cake.
Okay.
That'll work as well.
Well, on those good words, let's wrap up the show.
Really
go ahead.
Just one thing. I'm really inspired by your work because let's say we started in the same way. You went much faster than me. You went much faster than me because you were like, yes, I'm gonna do that. And I'm seeing someone who is a self-made clocker, let's say, a new term, it's a self-made clocker. And you came basically out of nothing, just anyone else. And you're now the top overclocker in India, and you're in top 50 in the Elite League. So I'm sure you're gonna do great things on the Elite League. And I'm not just being like, I'm saying that to be polite or something. I really think about that. So I think you're gonna do great.
There's no way I would have made it here again, like without the guys I mentioned, Harsha, Lamai, Dark Lord, all of these guys, Apollyon, he was massive in India at one point on HWBot. So these guys are my inspiration. And friends, I've got like beautiful friends who always stood by me, whether it be, helping me pour or, drain the yeah, just so guys. So,
clean the Vaseline off your desk.
yeah. So they're always there. Like I've got friends of mine called Rishi,
awesome.
and so
yeah. Neo is gonna have to go, so I will have to to stop you guys. Sorry, but it was a great an hour and a half. Thanks a lot, Toolius, for being with us.
Yeah.
Anytime you've got some free time in the morning, and we're always welcome on the show. Thanks, Chiro Harris, for. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chiro, for being with us at this early time in the morning. I hope you're gonna have a good night for what's left of it. Take care of your sunburns. Don't forget to put hydration on aloe vera. I hear is very good for that.
Thank you very much, man. I really need that tip.
And guys, anytime any one of you guys is in India, please hit me up. It'd be an honor to take you guys around. It'd be a pleasure.
Thank you for that.
Thank you really much, man.
Yeah. All right. And Neo, thanks a lot for being here. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this show, don't forget to follow us on the Twitch channel. Click a little follow. Make sure you get the email so you know where we are going live. You can check our Facebook page, facebook.com/overclocking-TV. There's also the /The Overclocking Show if you want to follow that one as well. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, make sure you actually also subscribe to the channel as well and support us. Hit the like button every time you like the videos and share it. This is the most important part. Share the video so more people know about overclocking, how much we enjoy it, and so more people will get it and enjoy it all together. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next week. And don't forget, until then, keep pushing it.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Keep pushing it.
Cheers.
Keep pushing it.